Saints fans. Actually, I don't even know how to start this one. This is, like you said, probably the worst loss we've ever done a podcast on. I'm lost for words. I'm still digesting it. I'm still processing it. I woke up this morning, felt like I'd awoken from a fever dream, but yeah, we just lost to West Coast, who just clocked their first game for the win, for the year. Yeah, boys, how are we feeling? Oh, God.
It's hard to take it seriously, isn't it?
Hold on, what just happened?
If you don't laugh, you'll cry. And I figured there's not going to be a lot of laughter. Maybe there is, but thought I'd chuck in the Seinfeld laughing track to get the vibes going. Clearly, that's where the vibe ends. Yeah, this is going to be a tough podcast, I'll be honest.
Yeah.
Not looking forward to it. That was surprising, disappointing, disgusting, embarrassing. And I don't even know what to say in regards to that. That apparently the whole AFL world saw that coming, which I hate even more. And I think my review kind of covered all my thoughts, but we'll kind of delve into it. But haven't heard your thoughts, man, and we know you're the harshest judge on this couch.
Yes, well, apparently so.
I don't even know, how do you summarise that?
Well, I want to start off by highlighting West Coast performance, because I thought, after a really tough week, obviously gone through a lot, very emotional game for them, I thought they were fantastic. Obviously, sending condolences to the Selwood family, West Coast community, tragic event that happened. They showed everything that we didn't. Tenacity, heart, rigour, mental fortitude. It is like we were lacking in every facet of the game. There's very little to take away from that bar Jack Higgins performance, which I thought, again,
just
for another week, which seems just to be the thing that he just does every week, and so effortlessly. There's very few positives to take away from that game. It's very hard to find any positives. I think we lack leadership and we lack class. And Ross Lyon has been almost gloating about how we train one less day than every other team in the AFL. And I tell you what, it certainly shows. It certainly shows, because the skills are just appalling. From a lot of our senior players as well. Like, as I said to you outside, you can sort of forgive, first, second and third year players. That's understandable. But when you have a lot of your senior cohort making unforgivable mistakes as frequently as they are and costing us goals and opportunities, I don't know. What does that say about where we're at?
I mean, if we can get a zoomed out shot, we've got the heroes of the past and obviously Lenny Hayes, and we didn't see any of that effort. We didn't see any of that guts. Playing for that jumper, playing for those jumpers, the colours.
Nicky Winmar,
Lenny Hayes, there's pride. There's pride in playing for a football club, even if it's had one flag. Yeah. And there was no pride yesterday. Yeah. None whatsoever.
And that's the thing. We just, watching that game, I mean, the night before I thought was the worst I'd seen any team play this year. Apologies. They were just getting bullied out of the contest, and then the exact same thing happened to us. Show a bit of heart.
Except one team played a flag fancy.
This is true. But even so, to get thrown aside like you're an Oz kicker is just unacceptable, and then not to follow up and not to give a second effort as well equally is unacceptable. And unfortunately there's far too many players who are far too complacent and far too okay with near enough is good enough. And we're relying on too few too often, be it Callum Wilkie, Sinclair, Nazai Wanganeen-Miller, Jack Higgins. They're not going to win us games off their boots 99% of the time, because they just don't have the capacity to. We need other players to stand up, and it's just not happening.
We are so reliant. Creativity for us comes solely from Naz's boot. Solely from Naz's boot. No one else has any sort of creative fibres in their body, or at least they're not showing it and it's not coached. Yeah. It's all Naz or bust.
It feels like, and I know we've talked about it already this year, about sort of some of the hack kicking. Sometimes you're under pressure and you have to resort to that as a last option. But it felt like we still had another like 3 or 4 seconds to get rid of it. I don't know if it's lack of communication, what is going on, but just immediately, let's just kick it forward, see where it ends up. And then, like, I don't want to start going after players, but like Cooper Sharman, Mitch Owens, just giving us no contest in the forward line. And, I feel we don't have like a sole, Max King type, a key position player there, but geez, both those guys just went missing, and it showed. Like Jack Higgins, he can't carry that forward line. He played well, but like he's a small forward. He did literally as much as he possibly could have done, and we still couldn't beat West Coast. So it's like, you're gonna hate me bringing this up, but
What is it?
You said it to me outside. Tim Embry, if he had played that game, he would have kicked 5 goals. And it's my issue.
Still would have lost.
It's not even about delisting Tim Embry, but it's like, okay, so we lose Josh Bell in the off season. We make the choice to delist Tim Embry. Were we not thinking, okay, all it takes is Max King to get injured and Dougal Howard to go down, and suddenly we have no depth on either line.
And now maybe Jack McRae.
Yeah, and well, the midfield, we seem to actually have a rotation of players that can come in and out. Whether they're getting the job done or not, is another question. But there is a rotation of depth there. The forward line and the back line, we have no depth whatsoever. Caminiti was okay. Wilkie, again, is just trying to carry that whole line, which he can't. Higgins is trying to carry the entire forward line. Yeah, we're desperate for a key forward and a key back right now. And we do have a couple that's sitting on the sideline, but it's not looking like we're going to get either back anytime soon.
I thought this was a week where we could have at least experimented with another ruck.
Yeah.
I think Harry Boyd was in the extended bench on the Thursday.
Yeah, he was.
If I wasn't not mistaken.
Yep.
Rowan Marshall, that was the best marking game he's had all year. Jeez, that would have looked good.
He was really good.
That would have looked good inside 50 though for this game.
Yeah.
He wasn't playing on a known ruck. Like, no disrespect, but he wasn't playing on a Gawn or a TDK.
Yeah.
We could have afforded to see him float forward more. We talk about how good he is as a forward, and we haven't seen it all year. Max Heath couldn't have debuted in this game. Like, we couldn't have... Like, I almost then think, okay, at least we tried something. Like, we tweaked something, but we didn't really try any.
I mean, we did try Naz in the middle. That was, like, more so than we
And then
usually
Ross said
would.
it was robbing Peter to pay Paul.
Yeah, which...
You know?
Yeah, I don't know.
Well,
I mean, that's not the reason we lost the game.
No,
but-
no.
Yeah, and we can bring in as many players as we like, but at the end of the day, it doesn't replace the intangibles. It doesn't replace second efforts. It doesn't replace putting your head over the ball and going hard at the contest. Like these things, they're very easy to do. It's not a skill base to go hard at the contest. It's not skill based to give second effort.
Then it should be easy.
Exactly. It's a
Then it should be a
given. It's
given,
an
yeah,
intangible,
yeah.
but we make it look
It should
hard.
be expected.
And there's I think as you highlighted, like, Nazai is really the only player who's willing to take a risk with the football. Yes, he has the skills to do so, but I would rather players take risks and turn it over than play the safe option, pip it around, and then we end up turning it over because we've overused the ball. We won the disposal count by, 70-odd disposals,
We won
I think?
clearances
We
as well.
won clearances. That just shows you that we're
Contested
perennial
possessions.
overusers of the football. We're far too handball happy, and it's becoming an issue. And when you're getting beaten by statistically one of the worst sides in the competition with one of the worst midfields ever, I don't know. It's sort of it speaks volumes.
In the off-season, I talked it up, I pumped it up, and we all kind of known that Ross thinks we're this running team, this running juggernaut. I haven't seen it once, not once this year have we looked like we're running on top of the ground. Darcy Wilson is afraid to take on the opposition at every opportunity.
He's really low on confidence right now.
He'll see a guy on the mark. Darcy's quicker than most of the blokes on the ground, and he can run longer than all of them. Look at all the running stats for the games every week. He's clocked 16 Ks. He's clocked maximum attack speed, maximum defense speed. Do you see that on the eye, though, when you watch the games?
Yeah,
I don't. But I'm
so
not just
much.
attacking him. I'm saying take the guy on. You've got the talent.
Yeah.
That's why you're there. That's why we pick you.
Yeah.
But he's not doing that. And I think that spreads to the rest of the team. They're all just so afraid of trying to beat their man.
Yeah.
But he's 19, 20-year-old
Yeah,
player.
so you
and then
can-
we've got people like Brad Hill who really refuses to take part of any contest, and he's getting caught out left, right, and centre. And I like Hilly, I really do.
Yeah.
He does have X factor, but the last 5-6 weeks even have been seriously poor. Like not
Particularly-
even to AFL
Yeah.
standard, I would argue.
It's
Nah.
getting very hard to like you said. Yeah, we all love Hilly, but God, it's getting hard to defend him almost because like.
Well, the last 2 weeks in particular, like butchered a couple of chances against Carlton, and then this game.
We want the ball in his hands. Like I'm sure Ross would be instructing them to get the ball into our better ball users' hands, and he's one of them. But his disposal is terrible right now. It's shocking for a senior player, and I mean I do back him to fix it up eventually. But right now it's just like, where is it? And you know, I think we spoke about this last year, but yeah, he's not a contested player. He doesn't have a contested element really to his game, but. When, like, you know, it's footy. You're going to be in a contest every now and then. Let's just at least equalise. There was one stage where he had the ball, just should have taken the tackle, but instead he's trying to get rid of it, just drops the ball on the ground. Like, it's, we need a lot more from him.
Where is that football that you had?
Oh,
Directly behind you.
Oh, shit. Yeah, I was gonna show you, like...
Are we getting a reenactment?
Like, I've never seen someone get the ball and then just do that when pressure comes on. Like, I'm not even joking. No, but it's the whole team. But he's a senior player, and you've said they've got to show the example, lead the way. If they're doing that, I mean,
that was such a good reenactment.
Someone needs to go and get that.
Hold it in the contest. We spill the ball out too often that it then just falls out of the contest when we should just kill it.
Yeah.
And then the opposition run away. Unmanned.
But
Easy.
I mean, what does that boil down to? Panic or low football IQ? Because I would argue if you're trying to do, it's a combination of both, which, again, as senior players, particularly Hilly, who is a dual premiership player, he won the Doig medal I think I'm saying that right, Doig, medal at Fremantle. Doing that sort of stuff, I'm sorry, unforgivable. You learn that in under 13s. Hold the ball, take it to ground.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need more from him. And I just think that the forward line is probably what stood out most to me, and just the way that it's not functioning whatsoever. Like I said, it's Jack Higgins or no one else. I don't know. Do you guys agree with me on that? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean...
Delivery as well.
Delivery doesn't help.
We pop it up in the air, and they didn't have McGovern, did they?
Nah.
So, that also adds insult to injury. Their number one key defender was out, and we still... couldn't do anything with it. But when you're shooting it up a chimney like most of our midfielders do, of course we're going to get outmarked, because most of our forwards at the moment don't sit above 194, which is, I think, Sharman's height.
If that, yeah.
Is that like, like you say, that bombing it in? I mean, yeah, that's definitely an issue. But I also felt like that stemmed from like a lack of movement, a lack of, there was no one when Higo was in a good spot, he would get the ball most of the time. That's why he kicked so many goals. But Sharman and Owens, it just feels like they're never getting into the right spot.
That's a great observation, because that's what I was thinking throughout the game, was especially when we had dump kicks out of contest, or like even a long down the line kick, like the ball, like their timing for running and jumping was so off.
Yeah.
Like they would jump like 2 seconds before the ball was in their vicinity. By the time they hit the deck, it's gone past them.
Yeah.
Just positioning wise, like I know they're not the strongest blokes, but it's not like they were playing on Harris Andrews.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that frustrates me the most, is I can't even say, okay, their opponent beat them. They beat themselves.
Yeah.
But it's also it's not like a one-sided thing where it's as simple as saying, well, they're not using the space, because like that's absolutely true. They aren't using the space to their advantage, but on the other side of the coin, it's also not being kicked to advantage half the time. Why is it being kicked to a contest when they've clearly got taller players on them? You can't expect Jack Higgins to be taking pack marks or players like that. Like, yes, Mitch Owens is capable.
But
of
Higo
doing
never
that.
needs to take a pack mark, because he gets into
No, he
open
doesn't.
space.
But
yeah.
if you're not kicking the player's advantage, you can't expect them to be winning the ball in the forward line.
No, of course not.
I agree. I just
at the
think
same time they don't use the space, so it's this double-edged sword.
Yeah.
I just think we need more IQ from our forwards to actually get in a good spot. Like Mason Wood started the game well, but then that was honestly the worst Mason Wood game I've seen for a long time. He's been
let's give him a break. He just came back. He kicked.
Yeah, no, I'm saying like I was shocked by it, because it's by his standards that was just not what you'd come to expect. But like again, some of that ball use just. I don't know what the answer is. It just feels like right now all I can think of is, and maybe people hate me saying this, but I just can't wait for Max King to come back, because we just need a target to kick to, and right now the only target is Jack Higgins.
I know. Like, and he's doing the best that he can. Even our exits when they'd kick it behind, and like even Jack Sinclair going along. I think there was that. It was tweeted, but he goes along to a contest, and it was like 3-on-1 or 2-on-1 West Coast, and it came straight back in. It's like that's our best ball user out of the back half doing that.
Yeah. I think it's like it's what I've been saying for 4 or 5 weeks now. We're 4 pieces short of being in any conversation for finals contention, which is we need another key defender. Dougal goes down, we've got no one. Caminiti's not really cutting it as a key defender. King goes down. We now don't have a key forward. Yep. We need 2 midfielders with X factor and class because our midfield is one pace and they're just not getting the job done. So until we have those 4 pieces filled, and like to be honest, as I said to you outside, we are very much in a rebuild. The list turnover would suggest that, regardless of whether the club has acknowledged it or not. We're going to have games like this where it is ugly and these results do happen. That's part and parcel of what we're doing, potentially. Obviously, that doesn't excuse it, but you know, this is not a team that's at this rate ready to play finals football or even ready to do anything in finals football because we're just too far off the mark at this point in time.
Yeah, and like you say, because of where we're at with the list, that's why we're going to see these fluctuations. Like we're able to beat Geelong, but then, you know, a couple of weeks later we get smashed, and then we have a good win against Freo, and then we lose to a team that hasn't won a game all year. So
but isn't that
frustrating.
Isn't that the last 10 years though?
Yeah, no.
Like let's be
true.
real, yeah. That's the same shit that we talked about 5 years ago. I've done this a long time, and I've seen every year that is the case.
Yeah.
Every year.
Yeah.
So whether it's a rebuild or not, I agree. You're seeing the same shit. You're always seeing it.
Yeah,
and we don't have the patience. Like, Saints fans are going to lose patience at some point, and I don't want them to. I'm trying to stem that and trying to make sure my patience stays intact, but that's not good enough. That is embarrassing.
No, absolutely, absolutely.
And maybe that is where we're at, but
like the reality is, we're the third youngest list in the comp. This is the youngest we've been in forever, really, as long as I can remember. So I think we need to sort of, you know, realign expectations in that this is going to be probably another year or 2 of we may see some fluctuations, but we need those 4 pieces. As long as those 4 pieces are missing, unfortunately, this may be the way it is for a little while. I'm assuming there's going to be some list turnover. If I was list management at the moment, I'd be putting Zane Cordy on long-term injury and looking at mid-season draft because we need to bring something in that's ready-made for the AFL.
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah, like just looking at some of the names that played, like Collard, McLennan, Max Hall, Liam O'Connell, Garcia, didn't get much from really any of those guys. It's like, but the senior players can do what they can. Obviously, there was a bunch that were down anyway, but it's like when you get close to nothing from a lot of those younger players, it's just really hard to win games of footy.
Yeah.
And that's what we're going to see in these next few years. Like, I hate talking about this. I wish we were just sitting here talking about a win, but the reality is we're going to find out, okay, who can consistently perform, who can't. I'm not saying those names that I just read, I'm writing them off or anything, but as of now, they're not consistently performing, you know?
So is this, again, a year of exploration?
Oh, I mean...
Because, like, we thought last year or the year before was supposed to be that. Suddenly now this is... sounds to me like we're still exploring.
Every year, like, if you're a young player, the list management will be looking at you to see if you've got what it takes. So that's just heightened for us because we have so many young players, I feel like. But I feel like the year of exploration stuff was sort of like, let's explore so we can set ourselves on a path. I think we're on that path now.
Yep.
Okay. That's how I feel.
But I think you'd still, like, you know, considering all, like, you know, yes, we've had some great wins, but equally we've had some seriously ugly losses. I don't see there any harm in rolling the dice and bringing up a player who's yet to debut. Max Heath is a great example. You know, what is there to lose? Yes, maybe we lose a game of football because we're taking a risk, but I'd rather take a risk than play it safe and do the same shit we've been doing week in, week out for exactly the same result. Because what's the definition of madness?
Don't even. It's being a Saints fan.
It's a good line. Yeah, well, yeah. Yeah, something like that.
The last thing I want to mention is, like, you said at the top of the show about the AFL world wasn't surprised, or like, because for me, like, my vantage point was, okay, I mean, I wish they had just won that game against Richmond because I honestly feel like that would have gotten us over the line. But, you know, like you said, every win gets you closer. Every win gets you closer to your next loss and vice versa. And then, like, again, I'm not trying to excuse the performance because the performance is inexcusable. You don't lose to a team that hasn't won all year, but like we'd be remiss not to just at least acknowledge the fact that, okay, like as Sammy, you mentioned, like obviously the club dealt with a great tragedy during the week. Like there was a lot going on. I just felt like it's worth mentioning that, okay, yes, that was a terrible loss, but I think West Coast, you got to just give them credit. They played well.
They did.
You can say you can have, both things can be true at the same time. Is all I'm trying to say. But yeah, are you still just like you're completely shocked? It was
no, I'm not. I mean, I can't be. I'm a Saints fan. I can't be that shocked. But I've just seen it. Just seems very Groundhog Day for me. So I've seen it that many times that I'm like, okay, at what point? Like Ross says all these things. We want to be a serious football club. We demand excellence. This and that. That didn't demand anything. And you're going to have losses, but I mean, we did lose to Carlton the week before in a pretty average way, and you'd think even some sort of a response from that would have been nice, but they jumped us. They started better. They finished stronger.
Yeah, those two losses back to back is so disheartening.
And yeah, that's the thing is you play Fremantle, you play the way we did, really disciplined, really tough, and then you go and dish this up 2 weeks later. I mean, there are going to be inconsistencies, but there were inconsistencies before that.
Yeah.
So why can't we just expect a little bit better?
Yeah.
You know?
Anything else to touch on before we do Mosh Man of the Match?
I don't think there's much more we can say, really. What are your thoughts?
No, I don't think there's anything. I mean, the axe needs to swing at some point.
Well,
I think.
Do you think it will?
It will this week.
No,
do you genuinely think it will?
I don't think.
Do you think any senior player will be dropped?
No. I mean, it hasn't happened yet. Why would it happen now? So, and I mean, there's been due reason to take that path, but
I think I can see a world where maybe, it'll be like a Collard out, Butler in.
Or if you don't want to put them as dropped, just say they're being managed.
Yeah,
do
but
what a Geelong does.
Everyone reads between the lines at that point.
Yeah, I know, but
it's no secret.
It's not
Jack
public
Steele
admittance.
managed. Yeah, okay. Sure.
I'm just like the only senior player I would like really consider dropping would be Brad Hill, but he's not getting dropped, so I don't think it's even worth the conversation. But I think there'll be a number of the younger players. There'll be a rotation there for sure.
I can see Hunter Clark and Zach Jones coming in.
Yeah. Oh, and McRae. I mean, we can talk about this in the preview, but McRae looks like he'll be out.
Yep.
Anyway, let's do Mosh Man of the Match.
Yes, Mosh Man of the Match. I kind of just jumped the gun. I'm like, Jack Higgins, kick 5. 7.
Did you even wait for the votes, or did you just post it?
Yeah,
you know what? Fair enough.
I didn't even want to.
Fair enough. I'm like, that was very quick.
I did the votes last week for the Carlton game, and everyone was voting Harry Mackay. So I'm like, I'm not even going to leave it open to the public.
That's pretty fun. That's actually good.
So
fair play, Carlton.
Yeah. I would have got Jake Waterman votes or something in there. So I'm like, it was out of Rowan Marshall or Higo, and I figured Higo hasn't gotten any love in Mosh Man of the Match, I don't think. Second in the Coleman, I'm like, I'm giving it to him.
Second in the Coleman is crazy.
7 kicks for 5 goals.
If he's not being sized up for a blazer as we speak, the world's gone mad.
He won't.
That bloke is he's the best small forward in the comp. Bias aside,
but he plays for us.
But if he stays on this trajectory, they picked Nick Larkey last year.
True, but when you've got Kane Corns, who is on the selection panel saying that he is an X factor, one of the best small forwards in the comp, he's doing something right because that man hates St Kilda.
Yeah.
I'm actually excited to see it's Ben King v Jack Higgins on the weekend. It's going to be a shootout. Who's going to take the Coleman at the end of the day? You know. I just want to clear the 50, put Higo in there one-on-one.
Just them together.
I mean, that's pretty much how he kicked all his goals.
But just clear it. Get out Sharman, get out Owens. I want him to be the Tony Lock and say, get out of my area. This is my zone.
Genuinely, you saying that, I'm like, yeah, we have more of a chance scoring doing that than anything else.
Because he makes the ugly ball coming in look good.
Yeah.
He'll either mark it or it'll bounce out the back and he's gone.
I'd honestly prefer us dribble the ball in to Tiggo in a one-on-one and just back him to win.
You back him in every time.
Well, because if he gets it and he snaps it, that's a goal.
Oh, yeah.
Anytime he snaps it left foot, right foot, it's going to be a goal.
But then when he takes a set shot, could go anywhere.
That's true.
If he stays this consistent, he definitely should be All-Australian.
Yeah, he's on track for 50-plus goals.
We're halfway through the season, so let's just hope he stays strong.
Honourable mentions, obviously, to, I think, Roll Marshall.
Best
game
fantastic.
of the year. That was fantastic.
And
27
he was sick all week as well, so it was a big performance.
Kicked a goal. He really stood up.
Some of his marks were huge. Just like one of the rare players that really battled in the contest, and which is like for 6'5", 6'6", however big he is, like getting in and under like that. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah, and obviously Wilkie battling always, and
As
Naz trying to create. So those were the best.
Yeah, for sure. If you're dealing with hair loss, Mosh is here to help with clinically proven treatments starting at just $24 a month. You can regrow your hair 100% online, no clinics needed. Plus, you'll get discreet delivery and ultimate unlimited support. Use code SaintsTV50 for $50 off your first treatment plan. Join over 60,000 Aussies already seeing results. Visit getmosh.com.au to get started. Let's get stuck into junk mail.
Jake is junk mail. Jake is junk mail. Jake is junk mail. Jake is junk mail.
I wish.
Let's get into it.
Sounds good, Ari. Let's do this. This one is from Luke. When Dimmer joined Gold Coast, he said 80% of the premiership list was there. How many could you say from our list right now give us a chance to get our elusive second premiership? Let's go percentage-wise because that's
a really
Luke
good question.
mentioned.
I like
So
that.
80% for the Gold Coast, fair enough, great list. What's the percentage of our next premiership list right now?
Wilkie could play for another 6 years, I reckon. So I'd add him. There's Wanganeen Miller,
Philippo,
Filippo,
King,
Higgins,
yep,
King, if
Wilson. All the youngsters really can go in there.
can't see many other senior players, but I mean, if you consider Higgins a senior player outside of Wilkie,
I mean,
maybe
it just
Marshall.
depends, like with the timing of it
Yeah.
all. Of
Percentage-wise, what do you reckon? We're halfway there?
Oh, it's
we-
pretty arbitrary, but I'd say like 65%.
Wow.
I mean, there's a lot of young players I think will like. So I'd have to get a list up and start reading them. But
Yeah.
I've actually got my best 22. Keep talking. I'll tell you who I think's there.
I reckon 50% of the way
Yeah, I
there.
reckon
I reckon
40,
we're right on
45,
the edge.
50%. We're just missing a few too many pieces to be in the positives at the moment in
Yeah.
terms of contention. The reality is we're probably 3, 4, if not more years away from being in that conversation. And there's quite a few players who aren't going to be around at that stage. We've got a lot of players on the wrong side of 26. So that sort of, cuts them out depending on the trajectory of their careers. So,
No, that's a fact. Just reading this, like just looking at names, like I mean, I'll just go through them: Stocker, Naz, Owens, Sharman, Wilkie, Sinclair, Liam Henry, Jack Higgins. I mean, Steele depending on age, Marshall depending on age, Hunter Clark, Winhager, Garcia, Travalia, Taru, Wilson. Like there's a lot of names there that I could see being a part of the run whenever that time comes.
Yep. This one's from Gil. What concerns me most about St Kilda is we seem to be lacking leadership with real football smarts out on the field. The type of player that can see what's unfolding and take the initiative to fix it. Higgins is a smart footballer. Wilkie too, and Naz. Who else though? Maybe Filippo. Who will develop into a Pendlebury or Bont or Neil or Dawson for us? It's a good question.
Yeah, well, I
mean-
think we're putting a lot of eggs into the Filippo. Someone was saying, how do we
It's
pronounce
Filippo.
it? Filippo. Okay,
Yeah. Don't get it
Filippo.
wrong because
I know.
I got to deal with the DMs.
Get angry.
Yeah, there's a few people.
Filippo. Like we're putting a lot of eggs into his, but I think he's like definitely gonna. When I hear like who of our young players could potentially be a Scott Pendlebury-esque in the future, I think him.
I think Wilkie's that player for us at the moment.
Yeah.
Outside
Yeah.
of him, there's really not anyone else doing that.
Who would you pick out of like our youngsters though? Maybe Windhager, Owens.
I wouldn't say Windy needs to just get his actions right first before he can start.
I feel like we're developing him into a smart footballer though.
Yeah. On a
Maybe.
basis of leadership, I'd choose Stocker. If it was skills
Yeah.
and footy IQ, you'd probably go Naz.
Yep.
It's very hard to find a combination of the two.
Yeah.
They're very, very. Scott Pendlebury is a very rare player.
Of course, yeah.
I rate the Stocker call.
Yep. This one is from Chad. It's hard not to think losses like yesterday will play on the mind of any prospect players beyond this year, whether that's to join or to stay. If we want to attract or retain talent, we have to create an environment that players want to play in. I fear for the crowd numbers this weekend. Gold Coast with no fans, graveyard slot late Sunday, and a fan base questioning why they should put the effort in if the team doesn't put enough in themselves. I mean,
Yeah.
we got 20,000 for free on a Friday night.
I hadn't thought about.
I mean, we
the
say
crowd,
that, but look at West Coast. They turn up every week, and
40,000
they
yesterday.
get pumped every week. Let's be real. Apart from this week, they get pumped every
I mean,
other
in
week.
fairness,
so
West Coast do have like an entire state backing them.
they do, and
Wait.
there's also nothing else to
Yeah.
do in Perth. so fair
But,
game.
I mean, I
But
hadn't thought about a Gold Coast graveyard slot after the last 2
That's-
weeks.
What do we reckon?
that's-
9,000. What was
I
last
reckon-
year?
I reckon we'll get 20.
Last year was pretty
You
dire.
reckon we'll get 20?
20
I reckon it'll be like
20 people?
16,000
or 20,000.
honestly. I think it'll be 16.
20 people or 20,000 people?
No comment.
But just to
But-
answer
but
the other
the
part
first
of that
part,
question,
yeah.
I mean, it stings like that's at the start of the year, like myself and I'm sure a lot of other fans had Tom de Koning in mind when we were winning all those games and Carlton were 0-4, whatever was going on with them, and now it feels like yeah, I mean, obviously he's the big one, but there's also Bergman, Aaliyah. It's just it hurts our reputation so much this game. The Carlton one hurts as a fan, but this hurts the club's reputation for sure.
Yeah, and it's like it's a double-edged sword in a way because, like, yeah, you win games, you don't get that top 5 draft pick, but you might get some of these free agents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then you finish bottom, you get maybe the gun mid at number 4 pick or whatever, but maybe you miss out on a couple of these free agents that 3-4 years down the line, and that experience is really important as well.
Yeah, but we are also talking about two sides who are currently performing exactly the same way we are.
Yes.
So then the other thing is like, well, why would you want to stay at a club that's going to pay you less for the same results? Really what we have at the moment is money. That could change. Don't know what the rest of the season looks like, but that's what we have to offer, which is a lot. It's life-changing. So outside of that, it's hard to see what else is on the table.
Yeah, yeah. This is from Christopher. Mate, I've asked this a couple of weeks ago, but your thoughts on selection integrity. In particular, Brad Hill and Lance Collard's selection. Externally, it feels like they may have gotten a game being from Western Australia, while Jones, Clark and Boxall kill it in the VFL. Though this isn't the reason we lost, I thought the whole point of bringing Ross back was for that ruthlessness, and these selections, non-selections, don't really fit that, in my opinion.
I gotta say, I do agree with the Collard one. I think he should have been dropped this week, and I think potentially, allegedly, we don't know what's going on, but it does feel like the fact that he's from WA, going to play in front of family and friends, I'm sure, played into it because like his recent form doesn't show a lot of reason for why he should be staying in the side. Hill, I mean, I just don't think Hill was going to get dropped. So
Butler had 3 possessions in the VFL, kicked 2 goals from it.
I mean, Hill's more unforgivable. Like, it's a senior player we're talking about. Collard, it kind of looks like he's just playing for a highlights reel at the moment. Just
Yeah,
goes up
nearly
for
took that
speckies, but
specky.
he doesn't really contest.
Yeah.
Doesn't chase the ball, which
He
is
looks
a
good
really
when
bad
we look.
look.
Good, doesn't he? But when we're down, he doesn't look good. But is
Yeah.
that what happens
But
with
he's
young
also,
players?
what is he,
playing his
19?
10th
Yeah, that's
game
what
or
I mean.
something.
So, that I'd be more willing to let slide than a Brad Hill. I'd rather see a young kid make mistakes and make errors and learn from it than a senior player who's had, 14 years of experience.
Yeah, and if you look at it, like Lance playing well or not is not the reason why we lose or win games. Senior
No.
players that play in important positions are part of the reason why we win or lose games. So I think Ross would look at it and go, look, he's not doing well, but Dan Butler's out, not really in form. I'm going to play him.
Yeah.
Like it's invaluable experience nonetheless. So, but yeah, I think if you're going on form, he's up there this week to get missed.
Can't see him staying on the side.
Steph is asking, what have we done to deserve this? What have we done
So
in our lives?
As in us personally? Or
I mean,
were we war criminals in a past life? Or?
yeah. Like, what voodoo has been cast on us,
Yeah.
We've got a little Saints TV voodoo doll pins in there,
Imagine being a parent and subjecting your child to this. I speak on behalf of myself, and I think you as well.
Do you know how many messages I got after last night? I was like, mate, you sound like a broken man. Take a few weeks off.
Yeah.
I'm like,
that was an old-time review, though. I got to be honest.
oh, I was, yeah. That was one of the better ones.
One-liners in there.
Koyo is asking, how do we fix the turnovers?
Train an extra day. Stop taking an extra day off. Why are you
16
doing
hours.
16
know
contact
about-
hours.
16 contact hours.
But if the skills are poor and you're training one less day, would that not tell you that maybe you need to put in
More?
the same amount of hours that every other football club does? Because it doesn't seem like it's paying dividends.
Like
yes, there might be a really good work-life balance, but you know, you're a professional athlete.
Yeah.
There's certain expectations from stakeholders and everyone else. Get your ass down to the football club, train like everyone else does, the same amount. Otherwise, this is not going to happen.
Yeah. I don't know what
That's
to
my
make
message to Ross.
of the whole training thing. Like, just because it's hard for us to know as punters, like what other clubs are doing and how, like, the meticulous detail behind it all. Like, is that the standard, or are the contact hours more just like, are they spending less time in meetings? Like, it's just, we don't really know. It's just like, I know, like, you know, Kane has his old thing with it, and it just sounded like, I don't know, I don't take a lot of value.
But I mean,
in what
Lyon
he was
himself
saying.
has mentioned it a few times and almost like sold it as a culture aspect, which is
Yeah.
fine. If we were performing really well, wouldn't question it. No one
Yeah.
would. But the reality is he's saying, well, we have one less contact day than every other club. Now it's kind of like, well
it
should
shows,
we?
doesn't it?
Because
Yeah.
it's kind of showing from a skill perspective. I don't know. You know?
And
But-
even that, it's not just skills. It's also like, depending on your type of personality and the player, they'd be thinking, oh, this is cruisy. You know, like just the messaging it sends, like mentally.
well, yeah, it's
Like,
like,
oh,
does it,
I don't need to train as hard at
yeah,
St
it's like, does
Kilda. I
it
don't
feed
need
into
to-
complacency? Is
Yeah.
it a double-edged sword? Like, we obviously don't have the answers to these questions. We're not inside the four walls, but
Yeah.
you know, I think that would be something
Yeah.
to think about from their perspective.
When you're
100%.
losing, it definitely sounds bad.
Yeah, and then when
Yeah,
you're
so-
winning, it looks like it's a genius.
Yeah, so and that's the
ploy,
other
you
side
know?
of the conversation,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So
Thirsty_need beer is asking.
Okay.
I mean, they would have been very thirsty last night, I'll tell you that much. Is asking, is Moorabbin built on an ancient burial ground?
that checks out. That checks out.
It's good to see us all smiling, boys.
Yeah, I
you
just-
know?
But I mean, we moved to Seaford for a couple of years, and that didn't go very well. So
Yeah, but the rent there costs like, I don't know, like
nice
$5 or
beaches
something.
though. Good beaches down there.
Shout out to everyone in Seaford.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thanks to
Seaford fans.
the Seaford viewership, it's peaking right now. Jack's asking, do we need to target established players or stock up on early draft picks in the off season?
Both.
Yeah, but
Can we achieve both?
Well, the
Can
rate
you,
we're
can you
going.
get early draft picks?
Well, it's a compromised draft. I'd say if we're being realistic, I think we're probably going to finish around 12th, 13th. If we're on this current trajectory, that seems likely. As to where that lands us in the draft, I think I can't even remember off the top of my head, but you know, I think
6
you
or
can
7,
do both. Like,
How-
it's not
how do
like
we-
one or the other.
how do we stock up on first round draft picks? Because it's not an easy ask.
Well, you have to trade up
You'd have to
futures,
trade
futures,
current
trade
Who are we
players.
trading?
I mean, that's
Well-
a can of worms right there.
You've got, I mean,
But like genuinely, who, like I ask in the sense of like
Yeah.
who has the value that would even
well,
provide
and,
a
and
first-
that's
like,
the thing.
outside of
There's-
like our
do we-
young talent.
Do
I mean-
we have any players with draft value, really? Or
None that
players
we would be willing to
consider,
part with.
Yeah, exactly.
consider moving for some draft capital.
Like,
Like maybe Dan Butler if he doesn't start performing.
Yeah, but he's not
maybe
getting
that's
it,
one
but
to
you're
think
not getting a
about.
first round
but-
It's like a
Dan
second
Butler.
round pick.
yeah,
at
well,
best.
exactly, and that
Yeah.
would be like even that might be a stretch of this rate,
Yeah.
but I don't know. Like,
McRae was 50 odd, wasn't he? Yeah.
Yeah, 40 something.
yeah,
Yeah.
but I mean he's also what 31. Is he
True.
31? Yeah.
Yeah.
But
So-
I mean, a free agent like the Bergman, Alir, DeConing, like we should be putting so much attention into that. 3 players that fit needs that we can get for nothing. So
Yeah.
in terms of draft capital.
Yeah, Max in this junk mail pretty much said that. He said, knee-jerk reaction, people saying we need to tank and get a high-end pick. He said, I get it, but what chance do we have of obtaining those free agents if we aren't winning games,
Exactly.
which we've talked about.
I agree completely with that. Yeah.
This one's from Dan. Do we move someone to the long-term injury list? As Sammy said before, and in the mid-season draft, we could get a key forward like Liam Heatherton, 197 centimetres, 19-year-old, or Remy McLean, 196 centimetres, 20-year-old, and there's a few that have played at AFL level we can pick up.
Well, Zane Cordy is out for what 3 months?
Yep.
That's long-term injury. I don't know why he hasn't been moved to long-term
Is
injury.
Paddy
as of
down
yet.
on the long-term injury?
He's
no,
still
he's still
TBC.
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 It might
Okay.
even be worth doing that.
Yeah.
So, you know, you need to free up because we have no list spots at the moment, I don't believe.
No, and
Probably
not.
not.
So, you know, would it be worth freeing up 2 spots? Yeah, I'd say so. Because I could see
absolutely.
2 players potentially moving at the end of the year, leaving. Or, you know, just not being given contracts.
Yeah.
You know, I can't see Zane Cordy having a contract renewal. That's one. So, yeah, absolutely. And
I mean-
we need to plug some holes at the moment. And the mid-season draft, we've been really successful with, or the rookie draft, you know, Callum Wilkie, Sinclair.
Yeah, we had.
So,
Well, yeah,
we had some success there.
Exactly. The mid-season, we had Max Hall, who's looking all
Maxwell.
right. Cooper Sharman, who, you know, is serviceable. So, yeah, certainly I think plug in some holes, getting a key back, getting a key forward, and let's just have a look, you know.
Yeah.
Like,
And
there's
add some depth.
There's
Well,
been
just
some good,
depth.
there's been great stories with the mid-season draft. Like, it's a good tool to utilise for the club for sure, especially with where we're at now.
Well, what? I mean, James Barrett, we drafted him as a fullback. He's a big boy. We all joked in the off-season that he looked like he was 35 years old.
Yeah.
They haven't given him a game yet.
Yeah, I mean, like key position players, like it's fine. I just said like, oh, let's just draft one and plug them in, but it's like key position players. It is so hard to like compete with AFL level, you know, opposition, you know, at a young age. That's why it
But they're
takes
also-
like, you know, the Kings, the Kernos to come. It takes them so long to
It's 4 or 5
start
years
to
of
dominate.
development for
Yeah,
those
so it's like,
positions.
I mean,
But is he playing on those players in the VFL that are going to get him that experience anyway? Probably not.
no, but it's. I mean,
Well,
I'd be
no.
interested to see how it would go,
Yeah.
but it's.
But you don't want to
know.
break him too early as well,
Yeah.
because say, you know, God help you, you play your first game, and you've got Jeremy Cameron playing on you.
Well,
You
yeah.
but if that situation were to happen, like that's crippling, because he's going to kick
But what-
13 goals on you, something silly.
We lost Dukes and he couldn't have played against West Coast.
Who,
With Cam-
Barrett.
Yeah.
I mean, they would have picked Ari before him.
You reckon?
Yeah, probably. He's been in emergency.
I mean, just
for the
like
last,
for
6
like, at
weeks.
least as a fullback for a
Maybe,
fullback.
yeah.
But
Again, like it's one of those things. It's just hard to say. We don't know how he's going at training, etc. I mean, he's been okay in the VFL, but
I mean, fullbacks. What sort of stats?
Yeah,
are we
Well,
exactly.
looking
exactly.
at
Key
here? You know, he's not
position
getting
players
30 possessions.
Never like break open
Yeah.
games like a midfielder.
And to be
So-
fair, Sandy's getting pumped every week because they are a bit of a shambles.
Yeah.
So form-wise, it's. I don't think it's ever going to look good for.
yeah.
The
Well, that's what I'm saying.
collective.
We
Yeah.
don't really know unless you're watching every Sandy game. So.
Yeah. Well, there we go. That's
Yeah.
junk mail. So that was a big one. Yeah.
Let's
Now
talk
the
about the
preview.
game then.
Yeah.
Preview. Dim Sim at Marvel. He hates that place. Hates it.
I heard Gold Coast
Which
people don't
means
come
we
there,
have a
so-
sneaky chance.
Yeah,
Like-
but you know how we like to break records.
But this is very us to lose to the worst team in the comp and then come out and beat probably a top 4 side.
They'll go in unchanged probably to this. I
Yeah,
think.
yeah.
Coast?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Why would you change?
Like they
a
belt.
winning
They
formula?
didn't belt, but the last 2 weeks they've beaten Hawthorn and they've beaten Bulldogs, and they've kicked 100 points in both games.
Let's watch Ben
That's
Long kick
impressive.
10 goals for him.
Ben Long,
He is having some kind of year.
like he's challenging Higo
Unbelievable.
for that small forward spot.
Oh, yeah.
it's those two,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And then Ben King, obviously, he's the biggest danger of them all.
Yeah.
And that midfield
Rowell,
without
Anderson,
McRae
Miller.
potentially.
Yeah, ridiculous.
Like-
I mean, they're such a talented list, and for once they actually look well drilled. So
Is this going to be a game like last year where we consider our options and realise that probably the best way or the easiest way we're going to win this game is to completely shut it down? Because that's what
Make it
happened
the ugliest
last year.
thing.
It's like, this list is so talented, let's just shove them out of the game completely, make it hard, contested, low-scoring football, try and scrape over
So
the
pretty
line.
much-
It's going to be ugly. It's
pretty
going to be
much-
ugly as hell.
Look at the Fremantle game again and pretty much implement that.
yeah, I mean, I can tell you, Ross doesn't give one crap about
How it looks.
how the game looks. So I mean, he'd be more than willing to. I wouldn't be surprised, but I also wouldn't be surprised like to see us win this game. And I'm not saying that out of some like false hope. It's just genuinely
Yeah.
like that is just what we've done for
It's very
years.
St Kilda, isn't it?
Yeah, like that is just what we've done.
And then
you know,
lose to
it's-
Melbourne the week after.
Yeah, like we'll
Yeah.
In
you know,
Darwin.
I mean, yeah,
we're
we
playing
beat
there.
Geelong and then we lose to West Coast, and then maybe we'll play well
Yeah.
against Gold Coast, and then it's just the roller coaster of barracking for this club at the moment.
They've got it's not like this week where we can look at West Coast and go, yeah, we've got them covered on most lines. They've got us covered on every line.
Let's forget about the result for a second.
Yeah.
Because that's, the result will come. Whatever happens, happens. What do we want to see outside of the result? because I think that's probably at this stage more important to look at than the result itself and hanging a hat on that.
I want to see Dare.
I want to see
I agree.
some movement in the forward line.
Yeah.
I want to see Sharman and Owens communicating with each other, running into the leading lanes, creating space for each other.
Run. I want to see speed.
Yeah.
Actually use whatever we've talked about.
Yeah, all that running.
That fitness advantage we supposedly have,
I think that's the main thing. Like, take a risk. Because there's nothing worse than watching players chip it around, waiting for a break in the tide, and they do it too much, overuse the ball, and then it gets turned over. I'd rather you try and barrel it down the guts. If it works, it works. It doesn't, okay, you took the risk, you tried to take on the game, fair enough. I'll give you the time of day, whatever. But it's so much better doing that than there's just this boring, uncontested, slow-moving football, sort of tightening the screws and closing down a game, because it doesn't win games, really. And look at what Melbourne did to Brisbane. They did that for the first 2 quarters, didn't work,
Then they
changed it
went for
up,
it.
and then they won the game. So
and it caught them off guard, didn't it?
Well, exactly. The recipe is simple. If you take a bit of dare, you use your brains. You're elite football players for a reason. You have some sort of footy IQ, I would assume. Implement it. Take a risk. Take on your man. Show a bit of heart, a bit of rigour. As Ross said a couple of weeks ago, show some fortitude. Go hard at the contest. Maybe the result might go in our favour, but if you don't do those things, it's just not going to happen for you. And that's the reality.
And don't put your heads down the second that Gold Coast kick a goal. The second they get in front or they get on a little run, don't put your heads down and start complaining. Get to work. Roll up the sleeves.
Well, that's the thing
Smash
as well.
the next
It's like
bloke. Tackle.
Sort of too easily just swept aside. Like, when it gets too hard, it just gets
just
too
too
hard
hard.
and players just stop.
Yeah.
Like, there's probably five players, I reckon, who just will give you everything no matter what, no matter how the game is going. But there's far too many who just stop in their tracks and just do nothing.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's a good mentality to have, and it comes down to mental fortitude at the end of the day. And that
So-
needs to squeeze out of the game.
If McRae is out with that punctured lung that is circulating online, what happens? What does the first centre bounce look like? With that
Jones
Jack
or
McRae?
Hunter Clark will be in there for sure.
With Steele and Garcia?
Steele and Garcia played a lot of forward this week.
Boxall?
Philippou, Boxall could come in.
Trav?
Trav, maybe. I mean, I don't want to.
It's probably going to be
I didn't
six.
love the amount of midfield time Naz had this week. I wouldn't mind seeing Steele, Jones, or Clark and Philippou. Am I saying? I've got anxiety about it now. Am I
Philippou.
saying it right? Philippou.
Poe.
Philippou. Okay.
Just say Mateus.
Mateus.
That's all I
That'll
did.
save me. I'll tell you what, I want to see Ari Schoenmaker come into the side. He's had a really good month at Sandy. In the VFL report every week, they write about his defensive game is improving. That's what everyone wants to see from him. Offensively, he seems to have a very good a very good set of skills. So I want to see him come in, support Wilkie. So obviously Wilkie will go to King.
McLennan out?
McLennan will come out. Yep. But yeah. So who are their other tall forwards?
They got King.
Well, they've got King, they've got Long, they've got Bailey Humphries,
Bailey
who's
Humphries is good.
medium, also very good when he gets off the chain.
Yeah.
But I mean, they've got. The thing is, as well, the goals don't just come from their forward line; it comes from all their mids as well. Rowell and Miller just roll through the centre and kick a bag on you if you're not careful. So I'm assuming one of them will be a tag job.
Let's see. So their best performers on the weekend. Obviously, Noble had an enormous game, 1,000 metres game.
Yeah, well, they're half-backs, Rioli and
Noah
Noble are the
Anderson,
best.
Matt
two.
Rowell, Took Miller, Witts and Rowe is going to be a huge battle. I think Witts generally causes a lot of problems for Rowe because he's quite physical. Obviously, Rioli, Humphrey. They got a good team.
Yeah, their list is pretty star-studded. They're going to be very good these next couple of years.
It's an excellent team, but let's not forget, this is also a team that travelled to Marvel a mere few weeks ago and lost to Richmond. So it's one of those seasons, if you're an inch off, you're a mile off, right? And any team can catch you out on any day. If you're going to apply the pressure, if you're going to show a bit of rigour and tenacity in the game, then you can win games. You give yourself a chance. And I think that's important. And Gold Coast hates travelling. They still hate travelling. As good as they've been this year, there's still question marks over them. You know, as there is pretty much every other team bar Collingwood in the competition at the moment. Everyone's got question marks over them. We know they don't like coming to Marvel. Let's exploit it.
Yep. Sure. What else do we have to say about West Coast, Gold Coast?
Do we tag? Do we do that? Or is it just pure head-to-head? There's almost too many players you could tag, isn't there? Like Miller, you go Rao, Anderson.
I'd put a bit of attention into either Rao or Anderson.
Because they're the
especially
extractor,
if one
aren't they?
gets off the chain, yeah.
Steele?
Yeah, maybe. Steele, Windy.
Like,
there's options there. I
let
mean,
Jones and Hunter Clark.
Stocker, he's not playing, I was going to say, but he has done a bit of that lately.
Who goes on long? Webster?
Yeah, put Webster on.
Oh, that
shut down.
That's
a good matchup.
That's
That's
gonna
a
be fun.
good matchup.
There's going to be some jumper punches there.
Yeah.
For sure. And then forward of centre. I mean, does Caminiti start back?
Yeah, I think so. Thought he was okay on the weekend without being fantastic.
Yeah. So how do we solve this whole height problem? Because we talk about that pretty much every time we lose. That's a major factor.
I mean,
we're short.
I think Ari will come in, whether that means just more support for Wilkie and Caminiti stays down there, or Caminiti swings into the forward line, because we were just completely devoid of any target there. I don't know. It's gonna. I do think there'll be a decent rotation of some of the younger players, 3 or 4 changes this week, and then obviously McRae as well. So, yeah.
You expecting a response?
I do expect a response. My hope is seriously dwindling.
You said that last week too.
Yeah.
I mean, I did.
I just like going off of history. After these things happen, we generally do play well. Whether we'll win or not, generally we play well after, shitting the bed like we did.
And I think Ross is slowly reaching the end of his tether. You know, there's little snippets that cut to him at quarter time and half time, and he's
copped it.
He is going off. Ross, the boss, may be back, and I hope he's back because he needs to be. No more pussyfooting around. If he needs to give another spray, give another spray, because that got a response last time. So,
but he's going to destroy all their confidence.
Well, I mean, they have no confidence to begin with. So, you know,
doing a Kate McCarthy impression.
On that note, I mean, got to get to the game if we can. Like
all 20 of us.
Yeah. I mean, I'll be there.
20,
I'll be there.
You don't think it'll get
20,000?
Yeah, 20,000. You think it'll get 15?
What's your prediction?
I'd love to see what Gold Coast St Kilda was last year, but I reckon it'll be close to 15, if not a bit less. When is it? Sunday?
Sunday 4:40.
I reckon this could even be like a tenner. I go 10,000. This has KO sit on the couch written all over it.
But after we won Sainers at the
to
game.
be fair, after last week, like if you're a fan that lives more than half an hour away from the stadium, really, where's the incentive?
That's a good question.
You know, I don't want to be that guy, and I'll turn up no matter what, and I hope that other people would. But I can totally understand if people don't. Totally understand.
By the time it ends, I'm not going to give reasons why you shouldn't go, but you can understand why.
Yeah.
If we were playing exciting football, taking the game on and still losing, you're kind of like, I'll go and watch the young kids, but even that's not really happening, so it can be tough. But we know that things.
Mateus is going to have a big game.
Is this guaranteed?
Guaranteed.
Okay. You're going to hang your hat on this?
He's gone down the barrel. He's like, what's going to get me up and about?
Yeah, you had to think about that.
Mateus is going to have a great game.
He's going to point. He's going to point.
How do you say it again?
Mateus.
At least he can get.
He's going to kick a goal.
Not going to annoy people online.
Do this one, which we love, by the way. Anyone that says otherwise, ridiculous.
All right.
That's
a wrap. Yeah, it's a wrap.
Go Sainers. Get down if you can. And we'll be back next week.
Yep. See you then, Sainers.
Go Saints.